Hi there, I'm Andrea Koppel, and it's time for Coffee, the podcast where you get to hear firsthand what the jobs and careers that interest you the most are really like. Hey there, Java junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career double shot K-Cup with my guest, Jason Bellini. So, Jason, you've had quite the career as we're hearing here. And that career has been recognized. You got the 2006 Journalist of the Year. Unbelievable. From the National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association. I mean, not just like getting a medal for a story, but for the year. How did you win that award, Jason, and what was it that helped you win it?
So after CNN, I took a job on a program called CBS News on Logo. So Logo was a channel created by MTV to serve the LGBT community. They contracted with CBS News for CBS News to do a news program for them. So I worked for CBS News as the host and correspondent for this program. And this was something really new. The network had just gone on the air, and I felt like I was, taking a pretty considerable risk going and doing this, because my parents were particularly worried. They thought, you're going to be known forever as a gay journalist. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why do you want people to know all this about you? Da, 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 da. But I felt like, I think one of the reasons I did it was because to me, it felt courageous. Like a courageous thing to do. And that's what I told my dad. I was like, look, I feel like you've always encouraged me to be courageous in my life. And I feel like this is honorable and courageous, because this is also a time when LGBT issues were really contentious in America. I know they are still now to some degree, but I mean, this is way before gay marriage came along. This is when, we still had don't ask, don't tell policy. It was when America was really wrestling with, and the most reasonable Americans were wrestling with their comfort level with issues surrounding LGBT rights. And so it was a fascinating time to be delving into those issues, to have it as a beat. So basically, I was on the LGBT beat for several years. And it was during that I was honored with the Journalist of the Year award. And I think it was partly because I was the face of something that was very new, a broadcast that was done by a mainstream news organization for the LGBT community.
Do you think that journalism is a good profession for young LGBT, and I'll add Q, people to pursue? And by that, I mean, is it an industry in which being LGBTQ is embraced and supported and respected?
I would say so, absolutely. I can tell you that there are a lot of us who are in the profession right now, and some of the most highly placed people are gay, lesbian, in this profession. And there's a camaraderie among people who are gay journalists. In fact, that award came from the National Lesbian Gay Journalists Association. And through that organization, I've met some very close friends and people who've supported me and people who I've supported. And what I sometimes tell young people is that it can be a real privilege. As Amex used to have as its slogan, membership has its privileges. I feel that way about being gay. Membership has its privileges. You have people who may have struggled with some of the same things that you have, and we're trying to support one another. Maybe that's becoming less of a factor now as it's becoming, dare I say, less difficult, thankfully, for many young people. I mean, growing up for me was a very, very difficult time. I grew up during a very dark period. It was the height of the AIDS epidemic, when social acceptance of gay people was not what it is today by any stretch. And so where most people were still hiding in the closet, right? But I think that it's a great profession to go into, because you'll find people who will support you. Two, I think, if I go sort of deep here for a moment, I mean, I do feel like the gay experience, and I think this is true for many of us, is that we were sort of on the outside looking in, had that feeling. I don't know if young people feel the same way now, but I certainly did. On the outside looking in, and kind of analyzing and trying to understand yourself and having to wrestle with, deep questions of identity at a young age. And I think it sort of created the empathy that we discussed earlier that I think is part and parcel of being a great journalist. I think those factors all play a role in who I am as a reporter and helped shape me into being a better reporter. And that idea of being an observer, that I think helps me every day. That's what I do.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Jason. I think it's important for all of us to be able to have those authentic voices put things in perspective for us, because for young Java junkies today who may well still be struggling for whatever reason with being gay or trans or fill in the blank, they may not, for any fault of their own, but just not realize how far we have come in this country.
Ain't that the truth? It's been fascinating to be on this journey, be myself on the journey that America has been on. It's been one of the amazing transformations of our lifetime is to see the change in attitudes and the change in institutions. And there have been some real heroes in the struggle for America as a whole to understand who we are and that we're everywhere and that we bring a lot to this world.
Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to Time for Coffee, where the professionals in the jobs that most interest you always have time to grab coffee 24/7, no matter where you live. I have one quick favor to ask you. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Time for Coffee. Thanks so much.